Hello, you're listening to the audio version of Parkrun magazine. Thanks so much for joining us. This audio mag is a place to find out more about leading a happier and healthier lifestyle, as well as hearing from the communities and people at the heart of parkrun events across the United Kingdom. We are back with the 6th episode of Series 5 of the audio version of Parkrun magazine. During this series, we're sharing some of the stories that featured in issue 5 of the printed edition of the magazine. In the final episode of the series, we chat to Ben Shephard, and the telly star tells us all about how he stays mentally and physically fit, and how the real-life tipping point machines aren't as easy as they look. We also listen to some stories from members of the parkrun community throughout the UK, about how Saturdays and Sundays have made a real difference to their lives. But first, let's start this episode by celebrating some partnerships and a truly incredible milestone.
People around the world have walked, jogged, run and volunteered at Parkrun more than 100 million times. In early November 2023, we recorded the 100 millionth instance of participation in Parkrun. That's 10 million separate times volunteering and 90 million walks, jogs and runs across Saturday 5k and Sunday 2k junior parkruns. When Parkrun began in October 2004, 18 people took part, 13 runners and 5 volunteers. We've come a long way.
It's really hard to get your head around such a huge number. And when you think about how many individual parkrun journeys that represents, it's just incredible. Now, community is a word we talk about a lot at Parkrun, so we are pleased to be joining one ourselves. Here's a little more about our involvement with the Sport for Development Coalition.
Yes, Parkrun has joined the Sport for Development Coalition. That's a movement of more than 400 organisations, networks and charities working together to help sport and physical activity make a real difference to address health and social inequities in the UK. Because Parkrun is free, accessible to everyone, including people who might be less active or have a health condition, and you don't need special clothes to take part, it aligns perfectly with the Sport and Development Coalition's plans to empower communities to improve health outcomes.
And talking of partnerships, we have another new one to celebrate. Sportshoes.com is our new retail partner.
That's right. Online running and outdoor retailer Sportshoes.com is Parkrun's official retail partner in the UK. Sportshoes.com also provides distribution services for parkrun merchandise globally. This includes milestone items and the Apricot collection. In its biggest retail partnership to date, Sportshoes.com will support the 9 million plus registered parkrunners who make up the global parkrun community.
More than 9 million. Wow, that's a big number. Back in March 2024, one of Parkrun's volunteers, Nikki Clark, hit her own mega milestone. Let's discover more.
Since 2004, more than 843,000 parkrunners have joined a milestone club, and more than 129,000 juniors have claimed a junior parkrun milestone. And these numbers are always increasing. When you listen to this episode, even more people will have joined milestone clubs. Each week, parkruns around the world start with celebrations of these fantastic achievements. In March 2024, Nikki Clark hit a brand new milestone when she became the first person to achieve 1,000 volunteer credits. Nikki picked up her yellow 1,000 milestone t-shirt at her local event, Riddlesdown Parkrun in Surrey. Nikki told the Parkrun blog, "To anyone thinking of coming along to Parkrun, either to run or to volunteer, I'd say do it. The supportive atmosphere, the chance to be a part of something so inclusive. There is no downside. You don't have to run. Walking is good too. And volunteering is the best way to be part of it all without having to break a sweat. Congratulations, Nikki."
As Nikki says, volunteering is a great way to be part of Parkrun. So for our next item, let's go into a bit more detail about one of the roles you can do. and meet just one of our many marshals, Lorna Stevenson, a regular at Finsbury Park parkrun in London.
Being a marshal is a really fun role, says Lorna. Clapping and cheering the walkers, joggers and runners as they come past, doing your best to make sure no one goes the wrong way and answering queries from interested passers-by, wondering why everyone is so energetic and happy at 9 a.m. In our large urban park, we get to see the world go by. One marshal was joined by a group of young drum and bass fans on the way home, who turned into a very enthusiastic cheer squad, and another provided company for a young man whose baby would only sleep outside. Marshals are also ready to respond to an emergency situation, with support from the rest of the volunteer team. You're never on your own, Lorna explains. You're given a lanyard with the emergency protocol on it and the run director's number. If anything happens, the first port of call is to speak to the run director, and they'll arrange for help to come. In December 2023, Lorna was run over and suffered a broken tibia. Later that month, she marshalled. I was dropped off at the edge of the park and had my high-vis and course signage brought to me. It was so nice to be back out in the fresh air, doing something normal again, and I chatted to more people that day than I had done in 3 weeks, she remembers. You can marshal in a pair or in a group if you prefer. As Lorna says, all you need is a smile on your face and a sensible head on your shoulders, and you get to make a massive positive impact on your community.
Friendly faces. That's what parkrun is all about. Now, another face you might well recognise is Ben Shephard. In spring 2024, he became one of the newest presenters of the ITV flagship daytime show This Morning. But he's been a telly mainstay for years, fronting shows from Ninja Warrior to Goals on Sunday, as well as Tea Time Quiz Tipping Point. Ben is also a parkrunner and has a passion for sport, whether it's playing football or golf or watching his beloved West Ham. We chatted to him about his wellbeing routine. His words here are spoken by an actor. Ben, you presented Good Morning Britain for years. You can perhaps stay in bed a little later now you're on This Morning, but what's it like starting the day with a very early alarm call? Do you have time to get active?
I'm not up as early as I used to be. 3:30 a.m. alarms usually prohibit pre-work activity, other than trying to wake my face up and generally get my eyes and mind working. Most days, no matter when I get up, I'll always try and do some stretching. I have a foam roller in the bathroom and I need a decent roll of my back. I love the idea of doing early morning workouts, and I think about it often. But thinking about it and doing it are two very different things. Although now I can work out, usually the extra time in bed wins.
You've spoken a lot about your love of playing various sports. You've run several marathons. But you've also been really open about your more recent footballing injuries. How do you like to be active these days?
I need exercise like my friends need to meditate or my wife needs to garden. I think it's the only time my brain calms for a bit. The focus I need to complete a set of lifts or a sprint on the treadmill or a challenge on a spin bike or some skipping takes my mind off everything. I need the discipline and the sense of accomplishment that training or being active gives me. Running was my therapy, for sure. I could pull on my trainers and just go and go. Sadly, the wear and tear I've suffered on my spine and back, and now my dodgy knees from a football injury, has made those long runs a thing of the past. My parkrun 5Ks are about the furthest I do now, but I love being able to get around. Even if I'm not as fast as I once was, the communal energy and support you get, along with the sense of achievement I feel from others, is magical.
What appeals to you about parkrun? And is it something you've done as a family?
There's nothing like it. To share that moment with hundreds of others, all different ages and fitnesses, all brought together for an hour or so on a Saturday. It's really special. I might not know the people around me, but we're sharing an experience and challenge which connects us, and that feels really exhilarating. At a time when our lives seem to be becoming more and more isolated and disparate, parkrun does the opposite. It brings people together. It creates a wonderful sense of community. We had a massive family Christmas Day parkrun, which was amazing. My dad came out and walked it at 79, along with my father-in-law, who insists I point out he's much younger. Some of the family ran, but the biggest miracle was all the teenagers getting up and doing it. It was a cracking start to the day.
How do you find headspace when you live such a busy life?
For me, making time to exercise and train is essential for my concentration. If I don't, I really struggle with early mornings. I find my mind drifting. I find simple things like walking between meetings, taking the stairs, not a lift, which often annoys the people with me as I insist they climb the stairs too. They're small wins which help me feel in control of a busy life. Also, the more I commit to being healthy and fit, the more I want to be all those things.
You've been a very public advocate for raising awareness of mental health issues. Do you have any thoughts on small ways we can all help to be kind to ourselves in terms of mental health? Do friends and family play a part in your mental well-being?
My friends and family are without doubt the biggest driver in my life. I know them inside and out, and they know me the same. I'm still really close with my best mates from school, and between us, being able to check in and make sure everyone is okay has become a really important part of our lives. Usually it's at West Ham, supporting the team or celebrating a goal. But for some reason I find there's nowhere better to address any issues we might be experiencing. Maybe it's because we all love being there, and we're all together. It's important to find a place where people are comfortable to share their feelings and feel safe.
And finally, when you're doing your research for Tipping Point, which British seaside town do you think has the best 2p pushers?
There's a fair few I've tried over the years. My skills were honed in Southend and Cornwall on many a day trip and family holiday. My most recent trip to Dairyland Farm Park in Cornwall was an object lesson. Despite my 12 years hosting the show, I'm absolutely useless when it comes to conquering the machines. Between me and the kids, we lost about £3.50 in 2p's. It's definitely easier asking the questions than taking on the machine.
It's great to hear from Ben, though we think he should probably save those 2p coins. Now, there are loads of fabulous parkruns all around the country, but in this episode we'll tell you about a few of the lovely ones in East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire.
Our first stop is Humber Bridge Parkrun. Did you know that Humber Bridge Country Park supports more than 20 species of butterfly? The 21-hectare or 52-acre nature reserve breathes new life into an old chalk quarry and now contains habitat for a varied range of wildlife, from birds to great crested newts. The bottom of the cliff trail is known as Little Switzerland because the chalk cliff terraces are reminiscent of snow-covered Alps. The Saturday parkrun course is 3 clockwise laps of the park, although the land is subject to flooding, so check before you plan your visit. Next, let's gallop to Market Raison Racecourse Parkrun. Horse racing first took place at Market Raison during the 1800s, but the racecourse opened in its current form in 1924. Saturday parkrun takes place on the parkland on the infield of the racecourse, following the asphalt service track around the inside rail of the course itself for 1 small lap and 2 big laps. The unusual location and flat ungrassy surface mean this parkrun is popular for anyone looking for a personal best. Now let's go to Doddington Hall Parkrun. Doddington Hall, just outside Lincoln, was completed in 1600 and is still a family home. There are 2 formal gardens, as well as a wild garden that evolves through the seasons, from spring crocuses to winter shrubs. The 5k parkrun course begins across the road from the hall on the Georgie Twig track, named after the Olympic gold-winning hockey player, and is an out and back along asphalt paths. Although care must be taken, as the space is sometimes shared with the landowner's rare breed Lincoln Red cattle. Now to Central Park Junior Parkrun. Back in the late 18th century, Central Park in Boston was a private deer park. It was acquired for public use in 1919, and these days you'll find a skate park, play area and an aviary in the park. On Sunday mornings, junior parkrunners start and finish near the aviary, following 2 large laps and then a smaller one on a mixture of terrain including grass, gravel and asphalt. Now let's visit Cleethorpes Parkrun. Once upon a time, Cleethorpes Country Park was open farmland. These days, it's a 65-hectare, that's 160 acres, nature reserve with a lake at its centre that is home to birds including egrets and swans. A pair of nesting swans live near the 3rd bridge. Saturday parkrunners who complete the whole 5k will make 9 bridge crossings. Keep an eye out for regular volunteer Josh, who has Down syndrome. He offers high fives to anyone who wants to join in the fun. Now another junior parkrun, this one in Brumby Wood Rec Ground. This takes place on the co-op playing fields at the side of Central Park in Scunthorpe. The course is great for spectators because you can see the parkrunners all the time as they go around the outside of the playing fields, and there's always a crowd at the finish funnel. Sunday's junior parkrun has close ties with the Saturday event, which is in Central Park itself. Our next stop is the King George V Playing Fields Junior Parkrun in Hull. The King George V Playing Fields are protected by an organisation called Fields in Trust. This means they will always be used as a recreational area and can't be built over. In the playing fields, you'll find football and basketball areas, a skate park, a trim trail, and a play area for under 5s. The Sunday morning 2K Junior Parkrun course is 2 anti-clockwise laps of an asphalt footpath around the perimeter of the park. And finally, we're off to Thunnock Lane Farm Parkrun. This is a fairly new event. It began in October 2023, and Thunnock Lane Farm Parkrun is a little out of the ordinary because it takes place on a working farm. The Saturday parkrun course is 2 flat laps around farm fields. While some events have car park marshals, down at the farm you'll find you have car park security in the form of alpacas and donkeys. The Williamson family, who run the 450 hectare or 1,000 acre farm, have been looking after this piece of land since 1880.
Some great inspiration there for parkruns in East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. Now, for our last feature on this episode, and indeed of the series, let's take a dip into the mailbag and hear from a few of the fantastic people who have shared their stories with us.
Emma Davies of Porthcawl Parkrun says, on the 23rd of December 2023, my 9-year-old daughter Dottie and my 80-year-old stepfather Basil both completed their 25th parkrun in Porthcawl, South Wales. Basil took up parkrun in summer 2023. He was inspired by watching Dottie at Bridgend Junior Parkrun. She's taken part in more than 100 events there. To start with, my mum, Anne, volunteered as a park walker to keep him company. We also heard from Sheila and Stuart Granger from Shornwoods Parkrun. They first experienced parkrun in 2017 in Perth, Australia, while visiting their daughter and loved walking the course. When we got home, Sheila says, we found Shornwoods Parkrun. We enjoyed walking the course and found everyone very welcoming and friendly. In early 2020, Sheila started experiencing tightness in her chest while out walking. However, tests suggested there was nothing wrong with her. Sheila says, Stuart insisted I went to see his consultant, who confirmed that I needed an immediate triple heart bypass. After I recovered, I came back to parkrun. I have done almost 150 walks. Stuart adds, we love the camaraderie with the other parkrunners. We both think it is the best thing we ever did. For Angie Main, Saturday mornings have been a chance to keep motivated when things feel hard. She explains, it's brought me friends, laughter, joy, and I've loved trying to get others to take part. On the 10th of February 2024, I went to 4 Farlocks Parkrun's 2nd birthday, and the whole thing felt like a hug. In the southwest, Mount Edgecombe Parkrun has become a huge part of Claire Davidson's life. I began doing parkrun at Plymouth Valley in Devon in 2013 and have rarely missed one since. She says, I volunteer as often as I run. My 16-year-old daughter has taken part in more than 50 parkruns and volunteered for far more. In our house, we have to say the word parkrun quietly on a Saturday morning. Otherwise, the dog starts racing around and barking and scratching at the front door. Parkrun has got me through the good times and the bad over the last 11 years, and I'd be lost without it.
And those great stories bring this episode and this series of the audio version of Parkrun magazine to a close. Thank you to everyone who has shared their own parkrun tales with us. We really hope you've enjoyed being able to listen to these stories from issue 5 of the printed magazine. And don't forget, if you've not heard series 1, 2, 3 or 4, they are also available. Just visit magazine.parkrun.com. Thank you so much for listening. We've loved sharing parkrun stories with you. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to Parkrun magazine. We hope you liked the features and enjoyed our simple ways to take steps towards a happier and healthier life. To find out more about your local parkrun event or collect a free copy of the printed magazine, head over to magazine.parkrun.com. Parkrun magazine is created by Parkrun, with the audio version made possible through production by Like the Wind Media and Runcomm. If you enjoyed listening, please remember to subscribe, leave a review or share it with others. That's all for this episode. We hope you enjoy the next one.